right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship qualifiers. And now this is where it really starts to get serious, Sean.
That's right. The winner of our next couple of games, well, the winner of our next 2 games, winner of our next 3 games.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Winner of the next 3 games are going to qualify for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, held on the 12th of March in Katowice. You remember the stage last year. You remember the Hero versus Rain, Hero versus SOS, sorry, finals. Looking forward to this one and get these 3 in. But who will they be?
Well, let's find out. Let's jump into game number 1, Varney Research Station, as we have spawning down to the south. It is our blue Terran, representing Dead Pixels. It is Fantasy. And up to the north, of course, you all know him pretty darn well by now, representing Team Liquid. It is Snute.
Challenging the Koreans once again. In a best of 5 now, by the way, as well. I have the map order. It is Varney Research Station, then Catalina, then Overgrowth, and Deadwing, and then finally, if needed, it's going to be Inferno Pools.
Everyone's favorite map at the moment.
Yep.
Favorite, bestest. But anyway, all right. So, it's very exciting actually to see these two face off against one another, especially on level footing, where Fantasy is actually in Europe, actually playing on this server, not having to battle against anything extra. So this is pretty cool.
Of course, Fantasy, formerly on SK Telecom, has or was on that team since 2007. He was on that team for 7 years until he recently left to join Dead Pixels. Hasn't had the most success recently.
No.
Qualified for GSL and Star League, but couldn't get past the first round.
Bit of a hard time.
But here he is in the only qualifier that he's attempted for this event. And he's 1 game away from qualifying. Likewise, we all know about Snute. Snute, the guy who's always challenging the Koreans. In every tournament last year, he was going toe-to-toe with some very, very top-tier Koreans. And here he is again, playing one of the, well, if not the best Korean in Europe right now, Fantasy, in a best of 5 to see if he can go through.
That's a good analysis of the situation, considering I guess he's just here for visiting.
It's going to be 3 Reapers from Fantasy. So pressure very early on against Snute, who has taken a gas pretty fast. So he can get Zergling speed to be able to push this back quite easily once it's ready.
And on the other side, of course, of the brackets, there is Cure versus Bunny. If Bunny's able to advance there, that means it would guarantee a non-Korean at Katowice, as the 3 players have to advance on. So that'll be very interesting. But Cure, very, very strong player. Difficult to beat him.
He is very good. But he is going to have that latency issue that Fantasy doesn't have.
Good drone micro here. Just moving back the weakened ones, still buying some time for his Zerglings that do pop up in the good time. And hasn't lost a drone yet, microing away the ones that are weak. So
yeah, big game now, big game.
Good control there so far by Snute, as his Queen pops out. And will shoo away that Reaper, but second one's on the way. So the pressure does ramp up from here with that 3rd one just about to pop as well. Yeah.
Snute only at 2 Queens currently though. 3rd one should start. He starts another Overlord.
Right up into that face of that Queen.
Where's this next Queen, Snute? 6 slings.
Ah. Well, his speed's almost finished. That's the interesting thing. So be careful. I think he's kind of, instead of going for the Queen, obviously realizing his speed's almost finished, is doing that.
Yeah, 6 slings is hoping to catch the Reapers on this side of the map. Like, so it's a bit of a waste there, because Fantasy has timed it well, knowing when Zergling speed is going to be done, and has already gone home.
I think he slightly underestimated Fantasy's read of the situation there. So Fantasy gets back home. He is good. He's going to wait for his Hellions, couple those up with the Reapers, and then maybe push out again.
Right.
But he is close to home, so he can get these Reapers away from these Lings, even if he wants to dart out there and get a kill or 2.
Very interesting play here from Snute. He's only on 2 Queens. This is kind of rare. You usually see them pushing up to a 3rd or 4th Queen, usually 3. really early on, but he delayed that a lot to squeeze in the faster hatchery, to squeeze out more drones individually. And a roach run coming down here by Snute. This is something that he has been doing to be a little bit safe as of recently. He doesn't know exactly what he's playing against. He sees, well, okay, yes he does. He sees one gas, not the other, but he's seen the starport.
All right.
So he knows it's like Hellion Banshee. So he starts an additional queen on top of that too.
Yeah, any extra little anti-air you can get here is nice.
And his creep spread is pretty good. So he's just got to be very careful not to take too much damage versus these Hellions, Reapers, and Banshees.
He's being mindful of those 2 creep tumors that he has at the front. It allows him, obviously, when they do actually spread in the same direction. Once they're off cooldown again, he can actually spread it to pretty much the edge of the creep if he's keeping really on top of it and checking there he is. So that's good attentiveness to detail for Snute.
Fantasy chosen to play Bio over Mech.
He's pushing towards these 2 queens. They don't have too much support with them. There's a few lings in the main base, but...
and 4 roaches about to pop out.
Yeah, that will help a lot. Starts focusing the one with most energy there for a second, and a drone or 2 does die.
Yeah, 2 drones there. Nice grab. But now there's a lot of queens out. 4 queens, 5 queens out currently with 2 more on the way. 7 queens in total. That's a lot of queens.
That is, and he's making more.
Yeah, that will be 7 queens with those 2.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You're right. You're right. Well, yeah, you're right. It's a lot of queens. I guess it is very good strong defense at the front. Double evolution chamber here. If it was to use this to very aggressively spread creep, that would be very sexy. This Banshee doesn't get a huge amount done at the 3rd base.
Yeah,
naturally.
and it's only 1 Banshee, and it's not Cloak, and there's 7 queens out. That's a lot of money.
At least he's got his token Viking to kill off an Overlord. Oh, on the right, on the left even. Could find one on the right if he's very, very clever about it, but the other Overlord's positioned pretty far away.
No layer yet from Snute either.
4th base going to go down.
Yeah, it's chosen to get these 1-1 upgrades first. Layer should start next.
Banshee just there in time to be able to deny that, so that's very nice for it. Extra Reaper in production. Interesting. I wonder why. Misclick? Or it'd be weird to just click a Reaper like that.
Not sure.
Well, we'll find it in a bit.
But pretty late layer, starting at 10 minutes. That is pretty late. So the Spire, it's not so much the Spire I don't think is the big problem with the layer being so late, because a lot of players like to delay building Mutilus until they feel very comfortable, but more the Baneling speed, I would say, that's could be a slight problem, because you're going to see Fantasy move out soon, because his first couple of Medivacs are on the way, and Combat Shields is on its way too, and 1-1 timing, but think about the Baneling Nest and the layer. The layer's still got a way to go, and then he's got to stop Baneling speed.
Moving out on the left and the right, not only with the Banshee doing some damage to the goal base, but also the small contingent of Hellions and Reapers once again on the left, and even this potential drop on the right as well here. Fantasy is very soon going to be all over Snute, but Snute spots a bit of it maybe at the Watchtower.
Yeah, this is the part of the game now where Snute needs to keep stabilized and keep control of different locations. We know that Vanning Research Station can be a difficult map if they're dropping your 2nd base and then harassing this left-hand side, getting rid of creep, pushing that 4th. So now comes the balance between very good defense in the right locations. Yeah,
he's already clearing up a lot of the creep on this right-hand side, which will eventually make this potential taking of the goal base a bit weaker here for Snute. And
2 spores and a lot of defense back there.
Yeah, there's plenty of Banelings and Zerglings.
But there's also Hellbats ready to attack this 4th. And Snute cannot afford to go down to 3 bases. He must keep this hatchery on the left-hand side alive.
Even a Widowmine as well. Good little composition. Oh, finding some damage from the low ground there to do something. But let's say the Widowmine is here, which could be very, very annoying. This hatch, well, at least he's nice and speedy on this creep, but that's Lings flooding in single file, and they really don't want to be doing that against that army. That's pretty scary. Banelings, do they do a whole lot? Actually, they cleaned up quite a bit, but the reinforcements are still very strong here for Fantasy.
Remember, there's still 2 Medivacs and 16 Marines to the top right as well.
Yeah, that haven't got too much done. They're going to grab themselves a Queen. Oh, but the transfuses are good there by Snute. He's trying to clean up both of these sides. Saves this hatchery on the left and pushes this down to the bottom on the right away.
But not cost effectively. Did trade off a lot to be able to make that work. There's still 4 Widow Mines around this area.
Rearming. Ooh.
And now it's time for Fantasy to have another drop. Yeah, this is getting a bit difficult because Fantasy has 16 Marines or whatever, 16 worth of supply units on the right-hand side, but he's also got that on the left as well, while building up heavily back at home.
Yeah. The caliber of player that we saw in terms of Fantasy's aggression was very, very strong. But Snute, you know, as much as he didn't trade as cost efficient as he would have liked to, it was still a nice defense. It could have gone a whole lot worse for him. So strong by Snute. He's a little bit supply blocked here. Really wants to get out of that. Because Fantasy is catching towards max very, very soon.
Fantasy's got all of his units on this left-hand side now, so he's going to take a proper fight. Like Widow Mine spread, Marine spread.
How many Widow Mines we got here? 5 in total. Nicely spread out initially to retreat back onto. But left and right, Snute is going to wave on in. Catches some of the Marines at the front. Not too bad. The Mutalisks. Whoa! Steady on, fellas. Flying over in a very, very odd, precarious location.
2-2 about to finish for Snute. That's going to help him. But again, there's only 20 seconds in that help as Fantasy has his on the way too.
Some Lings move forwards there, unfortunately getting pulled out of position, and behind the mineral line isn't exactly the best engagement point, but here he goes once again trying to wave on forwards. Some of those Widow Mines at the front don't have a charge, and a lot of that will die off of Fantasy there. Not taking too many losses to the Widow Mines as well, so that was a good defense by Snute to push him away.
Yeah, good defense, and he opens up a bit of breathing room now to get his Swarm Hosts out. He started enduring Locust during all of that. 3 Swarm Hosts, 5 Swarm Hosts have been made, and he's going to look to really solidify this left-hand side area with these Swarm Hosts piling down their Locusts. Creep spread isn't the best, though. That is a problem to make sure these Swarm Hosts are dealing the right amount of damage or keeping this right amount of area correct.
That was something that was shut down quite nicely, especially on the right-hand side by Fantasy there. Fuelings are going to be separated off to maybe try and check the gold. Anything they want to do really is a nice option. Maybe find a little bit of room back at home, but for now, Fantasy is going to push the issue over towards his 4th base again. He sees the Swarm Host, all importantly. Without his Mutalisks there, it's a little bit difficult to engage.
I think Fantasy could try to squeeze in a drop towards this natural again. Snute's removed all his defensive units now.
Mutalisks may be looking to catch reinforcements here on the back of all this. Catch 1 Marine. At least that does reveal the Mutalisks. Knowing that they're out of position, he stims his Marauders forwards, looking to soak up some of these Baneling fire shots. Good separation of units here. The Marauders created a nice wall, making it harder for those Banelings to get through.
Very nice fight there by Fantasy.
More Banelings morphing in here during the fight as it goes on. Some of the Widow Mines, only 1 or 2 at the back, have charge still left over. But look at the separation here from Fantasy to make it hard for him to engage into. Drops the scan again, sees a lot of Banelings actually morphing. These Banelings try and move forwards, but the split here, pre-split, is very good.
Is there a window here where the hatchery could get sniped? No, I guess there's too many Banelings.
Too many Banelings. That 1 Widow Mine doesn't really quite hit the mark. And he is denying some creep spread on the right-hand side here with a few Marines, so that's good again. Really just slow down the idea of these Swarm Hosts gathering momentum.
Yeah, Snute has held on to this left-hand side, and Fantasy realizes this is going to be a little bit too difficult to break now. Too much time's been given to Snute, 6 additional Swarm Hosts being added on. But Fantasy has 3 hatcheries, so his game plan's now changed. It's no longer to be able to drill down this left-hand side because he knows he's starting to lose cost effectiveness because of the Swarm Host. So it's all about denying creep spread and keeping Snute away from a 5th base. A double drop towards that back would be excellent. But the Mutalisks are kind of anticipating this type of move, and he's already there.
And the intercept straight away. Ooh, those medevacs.
That's
more
annoying.
loaded out there than really should have done. But there's not that many Marines.
A base must be taken. I don't even think the gold base is the right base to take. Maybe the base in the middle. If he spreads his creep more, his Swarmer is going to be able to protect 2 bases instead of only being able to protect 1 because this gold base is so far away. And that is definitely going to be a key location for all the remaining fights for Fantasy to take. Are going to be around this gold base.
Yeah, you're definitely right with that. It's much easier to defend those 2 locations. But he's going to try and go for the gold base anyway. Will be spotted very quickly, and denying that from dying is hard.
Yeah.
So it's going to fall.
I think Fantasy needs to abuse the immobility of the Swarm Host more. I think some big drops, not just 1 or 2 medivacs, like 3 or 4 towards these back bases.
Yeah.
Spreading out as he boosts in, bring all the Mutalisks and Banelings and Zerglings back, and then try to catch Snute out of position by dropping on the Swarm Host or something.
Big Ling run by onto this Planetary Fortress, doesn't do too much at all. Double drop going into the main base, catching themselves a Spore Crawler. Even a few of these Mutalisks could fall very, very quickly to just the few Marines that are actually there. Engagements everywhere. Widow Mines on this left-hand side. Catch a few of the Zerglings as well, and just can't keep up.
Good drop inside the main base here from Fantasy.
Yeah, good transfuses here as well, though, by Snute to keep buying a little bit of time. And Fantasy actually plummeted in supply during all of that. Compared to the position that we saw Snute in, and Snute has a lot more money available to him. I don't think I caught every engagement there, because there was quite a few going on at the same time.
Yeah,
but
I think Fantasy lost a little bit too much in the middle. But Snute is holding this position very well. He's taken this new base instead, and he's pushing his creep down so he can start to pressure the expansions of Fantasy shortly. But how many Mutalisks are there? There's 11. It's hard to pull off a good drop, because I think that is going to be the key, is pulling off a big drop, but it's very difficult to do that against a lot of, like, 11 Mutalisks. If you get caught out, you're losing a lot of money.
And 3 Widow Mines just die off there as well in the middle of that creep. So Fantasy now moving on the right-hand side. This creep will spot him pretty fast there, though. So Lynx can flood back home and keep himself well defended.
Snute is getting more and more comfortable.
How many Swarm Hosts are we at? 12 at the moment?
Yeah, it's a very good number. Like 16, I think, is ideal, or maybe as many as you can. You can go into Swarm Host Mutalist fully, and the Zerglings and Banelings are just protection.
Yeah.
So he can go higher. He can go like 16, 20. It just needs to keep his Mutalist count high, because those are the units that can stop the drops towards the back, which is where he's going to be weakest.
I think it's fair to say that Snute was one of the first players to exhibit really strong Swarm Host play against Terrans.
Yeah.
And, well, for now, it seems to have refined that a bit. I mean, of course, he's going to have to retreat out there. Having some Swarm Host pop at that point is a little bit unfavorable, but here come the Banelings flooding on forwards. 2 siege tanks at the back actually placed very nicely to try and help that out, but he loses a lot of the bio anyway to those Banelings rolling forwards. Blow for blow there, but the Mutalisks are pursuing on with the Locusts in tandem.
Yeah, interesting that Fantasy switched into 2x2 tank production.
And they'll die at the front.
Yeah. It's expensive and difficult to make work, I think, against Swarm Hosts. Once you can get to a very high number, it is nice, but...
23 more Banelings morphing in here as Snute just tries to find a place of solidity behind all of this, as he keeps his getting his creep denied over and over and over, but at least he's got this base up and running. Ooh, if he sees those Swarm Hosts out of position. But there's a few Banelings rolling in, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, well, these Mutalisks, perfect number where they're not useless. Like, Mutalisks aren't that good at fighting at this stage of the game, but they're so good at stopping drops and picking off loose medivacs. Look at this.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge investment into them either.
Oh, and even self-detonates some of those Banelings to get a few Widow Mines. So it was like 4 Widow Mines for 3 or 4 Banelings or so. So a really nice trade.
And the creep spread's really good, where Snute's going to put pressure onto this middle expansion of Fantasy now.
All right, Locust moving forwards. More and more Mutalisks get added onto the composition, actually. We're up to 25 now.
Whoa.
So they do get quite threatening then.
Yeah, now he is getting threatening.
Ooh.
Because the Mutalisks can now go around the back and start picking off turrets easily.
And all this fighting has left this Bio Army quite weak. The Medivacs don't really have too much energy to start healing this up every single stim that comes along. And Fantasy, unfortunately, has had to constantly prolong these fights.
Really good game by Snute. And now he's on this right-hand side. The Marines have to chase, which leaves the middle base exposed to all these Swarm Hosts.
This arm is still quite low. Mutalisks going to fly out there. They're going to get +3 weapons soon. Actually, all carapace upgrades have been forgone on that air, just for the damage, the raw damage as they flood forwards with these Lings at the top here, and actually going to get every single siege tank and a few SCV kills. Snute is feeling not only comfortable, but comfortable enough to continuously actually pressure these locations.
I think Snute's Zerg vs. Terran's looking very well refined.
Oh yes, very much so. It's not even the most conventional of styles, really, but with the extra Swarm Host kick to this Lingbane Muta.
Yeah, it's looking very, very, very well refined.
Oh, his command center is going to fall if he's not careful. But, nah, too much anti-air. In position. At least Fantasy's trying to keep himself active on the map. Now the Swarm Hosts are moving up again, and he does spot that.
Time for another wave onto that planetary on the left-hand side.
Yeah, if he kills off this army and then just dives on over there, that would be pretty nice. Some of the Banelings get soaked up by Marauders at the front, so not exactly the most efficient of trades, but the Mutalisks are really doing work now. Resources lost, very much in favor of Snute by about 3,000 overall.
Yeah, he can pick off this right-hand side planetary very easily while pressuring the left-hand side one with the Swarm Hosts.
Get a ton of SCVs as well, so very, very nicely done. Fantasy really looks up against it.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, very, very difficult to compete with this. The 2 Thors in the medevacs coming over to try and help out the goal base, but that's not going to happen. And his planetary on the left-hand side is being slowly chipped away at. Yeah. And he's got Infestors on the way for Pathogen Lands.
Yep, if Fantasy tries to charge towards the Swarmos, the Fungal comes in and the Banelings take care of the rest.
Strong style, really strong style. Armor and Carapace started up for these Flyers as well now that they have +3 weapons. So they'll do a huge, huge amount of damage once an engagement comes.
Mutalisks need to go to this planetary on the left and just pick off the turret and kill everything there.
Yeah, not much that you can do about that. And that's really the lifeblood of Fantasy. Once that dies, then his entire game plan goes down the pan.
Yeah, 30 Mutalisks doing so much damage now. Unstoppable almost.
Yeah, what does he have? He doesn't even have that many Marines. Of course, 2 Thors is quite nice, but if they get caught out in the middle by the Swarm Host position, then, I mean, what are you going to do? Still got 11 of them just spawning Locust over and over and over, and now the Infestors are here. If an army gets fungled in the middle, it's lights out. Oh, Sacrificial Overseers to catch all the Widow Mines before he goes in. Awesome. Very nice. Snute's on top of things. He really is. And if this is a prelude to the rest of the series, then, well, Fantasy's going to have to book up his ideas.
22 Banelings. Fantasy is in trouble. He's re-established that goal base, but again, the Mutalisk could easily go swing around and deal with it.
Yeah. He's positioning the Widow Mines in such a way that he thinks that the Mutalisks are going to go that way. And all the Locusts just soak them up, so it doesn't even matter. But he did get a few volleys off from the Thors, which did weaken up that Mutalisk ball quite considerably.
I'm trying to think of the way Fantasy can come back in. And
he's holding on.
He's holding on, because he keeps on sending other, command centers towards these bases, but Snute is just rolling in the money, rolling in the unit count, and very shortly he's going to either pick off this left-hand side or right-hand side, and again, Fantasy's going to be even in more trouble.
Planetary Fortress is going to fall. It's almost mined out, yeah, but... And now he has to really protect his gold. That's of the utmost importance. He's so down in the supply. 139.6 army supply against all of this.
Yeah, I think Fantasy's just going to have one more fight. He knows he's falling further and further behind the longer the game goes, so if there was ever a time, it was a one big push through the middle and hope that this works.
But dealing with those Swarm Hosts in a well-defended location is going to be difficult. There's a few Widow Mines burrowing right next to these Banelings. Should be able to shut all of that down, so at least he'll get those. But look how many Mutalisks there are. We're up to 44. He has 24 Marines. He spread them out so the Thors can't kill them off. The Locusts come in and kill the Thors from the back, and there's not enough anti-air.
GG.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
Snute takes map number 1.
And that was a bit scary. I don't know this for certain, but I think Snute does feel pretty comfortable on Vanny Research Station.
Yeah.
We've seen him play it time and time again, and every single time we see him play it, he either does wacky out of the way things that he just knows will work, or he plays super solid like that.
Catalina is the second map, so it's not as easy to play what he just did there.
True, true.
So this is a nice map for Fantasy to try to crawl back into this one, to stop Snute in his tracks.
I suppose I should make the game again as well, so... Hold the phone. What are we on? Catalina, you said.
Yeah, Catalina. But as I said throughout the cast to everyone at home, that was just very well refined. The early game, the mid game, the late game, the super, or not super late, but the later game was very well planned out and constructed by Snute. He didn't really seem like he had too many weaknesses, which is scary for Fantasy, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing against a player like that, who Snute over about a year now has been working on this Swarm host style, and it is good right now. That looked really, really solid. Maybe, I guess the weakest part of that game was around his 4th base, when he was starting to take fights there that were a little bit uncomfortable. The creep spread wasn't there. That was his weakest point in that game. The early game was super strong. Early mid was pretty good. The mid was shaky when he was trying to take that 4th up, but apart from that, everything else was super great. Do you
think anything Fantasy could have done particularly differently, like keep the pressure on?
Yeah, maybe tried to hammer home that 4th a little bit more. And definitely attempted to try to drop more around the back.
Because the natural.
Yeah, around the natural. There were spore crawlers on the front doors, but you could still go around the back. And maybe even try on the left-hand side where the fights are happening to go around to the 3rd. These type of drops can really pull Snute back and then open up that 4th and make it even weaker. But I don't know which way he's going to approach this one now, Fantasy.
Right. Well,
I think something along the same of what I just said would be probably ideal. Keep Snute pressured on 4 bases while dropping, while pressuring the 4th.
All right. Well, we're going to get into game number 2 then. Catalina will be our map. So on this map, you're favoring Fantasy more quite heavily here, or you think that Snute can kind of give it a good game?
I think that it's going to be a good game. I don't favor anyone drastically here, but this is a good chance for Fantasy to make it 1-1.
All right, well then. We're loading up now into game number 2. Snute is 2 games away from advancing onto the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Let's jump in to our second map of this best of 5. So we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner. It is our blue Terran. It is Fantasy. And up to the top right, it's our red Zerg. Currently 1 game up. It's Liquid Snute.
So these positions are okay for Terran. There are 2 locations which are really good for his fights in the mid-game. There's this right-hand side channel where there's going to be decent creep spread, but the Widow Mines are going to be really cool and really useful on this right-hand side area if he can plant them well here. Or if this is a no-go area because the creep spread is too good, he could go to the far top, which is like this location around here. Widow Mines underneath and lack of creep spread around it. Those are the 2 big contesting points that he'll want to fight around, but that's if we get to that stage, that is. It might end early. We may see Snute Cheese. He's definitely capable of doing something like that.
Oh, yeah. And as you mentioned, in terms of the maps, it's not the most amazing one for him to do something like we saw in the last game. It's much shorter a distance to try and get from one base to another for our little Terran friend over on the other side. So what is Snute going to be up to? The thing is that as much as, yes, Snute has been the guy who is the Korean killer of the non-Koreans, it's nice to also see not only Snute and Bunny doing so well here in the bracket. I wonder, do we have any updates on the bracket, actually?
Oh, yeah, the game we're waiting on is Bunny and Cure, and it's still going on, I think.
Still going on.
Yeah, no update in the bracket.
Be very. If Bunny does win that, it'd be very, very interesting. Because as I said before, 1 non-Korean guaranteed at Katowice out of 16 people. So they have hope. They have hope. Just like last year.
I would love to see both Team Liquid players there.
Yeah? Yeah, that'd be cool. Them fighting against the Koreans.
And I think they have decent chances, but the players going to Poland for that tournament are unbelievable.
It's mini BlizzCon, basically.
Right.
All right, well, let's see if we're going to have a little bit of a lap, as there's going to be Reapers on the way here. Always a good map for it. Always a good map for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Reapers are great on this map. Lots of uppy downy cliffs to jump up.
That's the scientific term, the uppy downy cliffs.
The uppy downy cliffs.
And poor Reaper. Well, Drone even has gone way out of position. Save yourself! Oh.
Sorry, I had to stretch.
That's fine. That's totally fine. We've been here for a while.
We have. It's almost 11 now.
And we've still got 2 best of 5s after this one.
Yeah.
So we're still going to be here for a while, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be good.
This bunker doesn't really want to complete down there.
2 lings on it. Should be fine.
Yeah, okay. So Fantasy's going to use the 3 Reapers again, and he had decent success with them in the last game, and he'll want to repeat that coming into this one with the Hellions again.
Yeah, definitely. Him keeping those alive and making them a nuisance later on is something that it shows. I mean, we've seen good Terrans being able to do that quite frequently as of late, be it 4GG, be it Happy in his good games of WCS, or at least at the early portions of the games. So, very, very powerful little tactic.
6 additional lings here to make Snute feel comfortable to hopefully deal with these Reapers before they get drone kills.
Retreats out, has to. Buys time for his lings to get there. The Queen is also there for support. Just going to be able to nurture those lings, make sure they're okay. And the second Queen also rendezvous with the first, just to push these guys away. Still finding little holes to jump in on, though. The Zerglings are going to finish speed very soon, though. Reapers!
There's a lot of uppy-downy cliffs, as mentioned.
That's true, yeah. Even if speed's done, they can do that uppy-downy thing.
He's gone for the 3rd command center here, Fantasy, and also very similar to the previous game, just the starport being added on with the barracks and tech lab. So he's going to be going for the Reaper, Hellion, and Banshee combination again. Snute has decided to go for a Roach Warren, and he's currently sitting on only 2 queens, which is a big difference compared to the previous game, but he's only on 1 gas, which doesn't really fuel a very heavy Roach, Zergling, Baneling type of all-in, so it shouldn't really be that. It feels like he just wants, once again, a couple of Roaches to make sure he's safe against these units and not take damage, and then comfortably move over towards his 3rd. But the lack of queens can be a problem against the Banshees. I think it's because he hasn't scouted it this time. He doesn't know what he's playing against. Yeah,
he's had a hard time scouting-wise, to be honest with you. He's poked in at the natural, seen that there is a gas bin taken, and aside from that, not much more. So, Queen's on the way, though.
Yeah, a 3rd Queen coming in.
But it might just be for the hatchery. He starts another one as well, so he's building up the defenses necessary to deal with both the ground and the air.
Yeah. Remember, any creep tumors he can get here, Fantasy, is going to assist what I mentioned before, the fights that he can take around this area. But sadly loses a Hellion. A little bit sloppy there. Just caught on the wrong side of the cliff.
And this extra ling's going to move out here to reinforce this 3rd base as he drops the scan and sees...
he's worried. He thought there would be an all-in coming.
Yeah.
He dropped the scan, so he knows there isn't.
All right, so he's going to pressure this location. The Roaches really want to deal with that, but if it's only going to deal with the Banshee alone, then the Banshee could have done some extra damage, but the Queen will help out.
Nice micro there by Fantasy. Picks off the weak Roach.
And he's going to get a few drones for his triples as he goes into the main base as well, into natural even. Uh-oh. It's pretty vulnerable here. Could do quite a bit. Extra Ling's going to reinforce. Maybe catch themselves a Hellion at the back. Drones spread themselves out. He's taken 9 worker kills so far. Not got as many, though, as I was expecting, considering he got all the way in here. Wow, nice control by Snute. He didn't lose anything during a good 20 seconds there.
I would say that was a really good addition from Fantasy to add into his game this time. When you rely on just a couple of Roaches, they're not very fast compared to a lot of Zerglings, as most Zergs do. So he decided, okay, if you're going to defend with 4 Roaches, I can pull you to the right-hand side like he did, and then charge into the main base. But unfortunately, he was only able to get, as you said, 9 kills for every single unit there, including the Reapers, which isn't worth it. He's fallen behind in this game. He's lost his map control, and Snute is in a decent position.
Yeah, unfortunately a little bit supply blocked, but with seeing that command center move over to the 3rd as it has and the ability to push that away, this really does kind of hinder the economy here of Fantasy. So it's a bit annoying for him. This Banshee is going to dive into the 3rd base again, but the Queen is poised. It's so low on health with this Banshee that 2 shots will just do it.
Well, this 3rd is kind of cheeky to be taking so fast, especially after losing all those Hellions before. You have no place on the map. Not right now, at least.
And what stops Snute here from just, I mean, with the taking away of all that harassment and aggression that has gone on and him having all the map control, what's to stop him really doing something similar to last game if he's in a little bit of a lead?
And I think that may be the case. Another thing that Fantasy has given up is the ability to deny creep spread. Look at that right-hand side I pointed out was going to be a key location. There's too much creep spread here for him to ever really be able to push this back and take good fights at the right time. That's really nice for Snute, and you can really see the downside of him losing those Hellions and Reapers come through.
At least the bio is in a position where it can get out here pretty quickly because it's so close already to his third base that they can just poke at that and fall back to their third with the bunker there. So he just starts to clean all that up, but there's a lot of Lings and a lot of Banelings morphing in now.
Yeah, if you could get those back through tumors as well, that would be very nice.
Yeah. Ooh. Almost. Almost. Infestation Pit's on the way, though. Baneling speed's going to be added on.
Yeah, Snute only on 3 bases. And only on 3 hatcheries overall.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
So, previous game he was on much more. He was on, he had a 4th hatchery already been used, or at least not used, but being built on location, and then had a macro hatch too.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow pace to this game. I guess kind of giving a bit more respect to the map.
Snute's playing for a much faster Swarm host game. Much faster. The transition is much earlier. Which probably limits him to these 3 bases.
Maybe, yeah. I guess you could be a bit more aggressive while being defensive down that right-hand side because they are so close to one another now. So I don't mind the idea of that, but he has to make sure that his flanks are very protected.
He's got to make sure he doesn't get pulled too far, you know, stretched too far here, stretched too thin, because he's trying to make the Swarm host play pretty early.
Oh, everything's loading up to the left-hand side, and he might just go with everything into the main. But there's Banelings and Lings already there to catch them. Yeah, not way you're going to be able to really do that. He's actually going to go for it, though. I'm surprised he really went for that. That's a lot of defense. You got some more creep tumors in the middle.
I'm surprised that Snute tried to make this move into Swarm host so early this time. I think it's too early. Like, he's given away all his creep tumors and all his creep spread. He's given away the fact that he can't take a 4th. I think it was way too early.
Well, he may be quite constricted here, as they're going to dive on some of these Swarm hosts and actually catch one of them with some Banelings as well. Loses a little bit of the army, but there's still plenty, or a little bit even, trying to defend the main base. At least Fantasy, once again, though, is keeping on top of the left and the right flank, trying to do some damage here and there. He drops in the main base. Banelings are already on the way to defend it. And this push on the right-hand side is getting slowly closer to those Swarm hosts.
He's starting to get pulled apart a little bit too much now. This drop inside the main base.
Ooh, those Banelings did all right for him, though. But the supply's still in favor of Fantasy. Really doing well with his macro. And the thing is that whenever Snute expands towards an opponent, if he even tries to get a 3rd, 4th base during all of this, Fantasy expands away from his opponent, which Swarm hosts, they're never going to be able to encroach on that 4th base location for a long time, so Fantasy's economy is going to be okay.
Do you think Snute's going to take this hatchery at the 3 o'clock position? Or maybe like the 4 o'clock, this one? It makes the most sense, considering.
Yeah, I guess so. As long as you protect yourself from the aerial assault of like drops and stuff between the bases. But he expands whilst defending. He can put Swarm host in a really good spot. Banelings gonna crush a little bit of that bio. He takes the one towards his base, but now he is spread out even further.
It's that he's spread out, and that Swarm hosts, remember, need creep spread to be effective.
Yeah, and it was all denied in this middle location.
Yes.
So there's no way he's going to be able to take that.
Yeah, so this base should be completely denied over and over and over. And this is the perfect map here, as mentioned before, for Fantasy to be able to draw this up. The 4th base is exposed. He can easily get dropped inside his main base. His Swarm host count is not that impressive.
Yeah, there was an insta-cancel there by Snute, who just knows that it's going to be very difficult. This drop as well has gone pretty much unnoticed, and it's a triple drop, which does cause a lot of problems. Pressing on the right-hand side as well, going through the locusts. This drop will be cleaned up in the end, but How much is he going to be able to clean up on this right-hand side? The Locusts are buying him some time again.
If Snute is able to stabilize and not take damage for a good couple of minutes and start to get this creep spread going again, that's the position he needs and wants to find himself in.
But it's so much pressure all the time.
Yeah.
Fantasy is not letting up, and he can take his 4th base. Yeah. Again, the command center is flying over there now, so.
Fantasy is very good at this. This is his preferred and known by style in Brood War. Was just to drop all over the place. He was the harassment Terran that drop, and then eventually kill you with the timing.
Terrorist Terran, if I recall.
Yes, and he is playing that kind of style now. Just drops all over the place and wearing Snute down after time.
Snute's decided that this 4 o'clock location is probably the right one after all of this harassment does happen, but again, even when he pushes this away, there's another triple drop going into the main. It's got 3 Widow Mines in this as well, so any kind of Baneling attack here is just going to get destroyed. Oh, dear me. Wow, Fancy is all over Snute in this game.
Yeah, I don't think this is maybe the right map to play Stormhost on, or at least not the right time to play Stormhost in this game. And Snute's starting to fall apart now. The spawning pool's going to go down, which means he can't build any Zerglings for the next minute. There's a massive force ready for Fantasy in the middle of the map to try to close this one out now.
Yeah. Doing very, very well. Constantly on pressuring Snute. He hasn't been allowed to breathe for about 10 minutes. Fungal will hit a lot of this. Tries to chain it, but has to retreat out of there, and the Swarm hosts, as well as Infestor numbers, just thin out very, very quickly whilst he pushes forwards.
Yeah, Snute's economy is 600 mirrors a minute compared to 2,000 with Fantasies.
Good game here by Fantasy, really good game. And makes you wonder what would have happened maybe if Snute brought out something more aggressive, but the way Fantasy opens with the standard Reaper, Hellion, Banshee style play, it's hard to make some aggression work off of that. There you go, GG. Fantasy ties up this series 1-1.
Yeah, really
well
good, really solid game from him.
Yeah.
And that was the map that he was always going to do it on too. Vanny Research Station, a lot more tight, a lot more compact, making Stormhost play a lot more viable. But this map was a little bit difficult to do that.
Yep. Oh well. That means we're going to go on to map number 3. You have it on your list somewhere.
Yes. It is Overgrowth.
Overgrowth. Okay.
Which definitely can be Swarmhost map. He can play this again here if he wanted to.
Okay. Do we have any updates from Cure Bunny? I'm going to keep poking you each time. I'm sorry.
I got to find it. It's one of these tabs.
All right. No.
It's no result on the bracket.
Okay.
No.
I'm very eager to find out. Very, very eager.
Do you want Bunny? I take it Bunny you want to win then.
It would make for a nice mix. Oh, I need to host the game again, damn it. It would make
Cure
for a nice
2-0 against Bunny.
Ah, okay, well.
So it is Bunny who fights Hydra in the next series for the chance to go to Poland for the Touchscreen Masters World Championship. Unfortunately, Bunny is bubbled. He's been eliminated right before the big game.
It was going to be difficult to beat Cure. Cure is very, very strong.
That's pretty impressive from Cure to be able to beat Bunny cross server too.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. We are just now waiting on Take, and then when he is in, we are good to go into game number 3. No build order. There we go. Okay. I don't normally do this hosting game thing. So
you're a man of many talents. Observing, hosting, commentating.
Jeez. And that's about it. Not much more than that.
Yeah, today that's a lot for one person. I just sit here and talk. I don't observe.
Ah, you look at the brackets for me.
Sometimes I check the brackets.
Yeah.
You're right. Sometimes I do check the brackets.
Which I do appreciate.
And the bracket was not up to date, but it was Cure.
All right. So I've started the countdown for game number 3. Overgrowth is going to be our map. And as you said, potentially a good map for Snute to establish his Swarmhost play again. He went into it much quicker, though, than game number 1.
He didn't really build... He went for the Infestation Pit before the Spire. And you usually make this transition once 2-2 melee upgrades have completed and your Evolution Chamber frees up to get the +1 missile attack, and then you do it together. That's the normal timing. But he did it much, much earlier, trying to do it on 3 bases, and Fantasy just wrecked that.
All right, well, let's get into game number 3 then. Overgrowth will be our map. As we are spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, tying up the series, it's our blue Terran. It is Fantasy. And up to the top right, it's our red Zergy. Representing Team Liquid, it is Snute.
Snute.
I'm pretty sure that's actually very close to how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
In Norwegian. But
Everyone just calls him Snute, though.
yeah, sup Snute.
Yeah.
If you kept harking on about it's Snute or whatever, like I'm pretty sure people still wouldn't change.
Gonna have a 2 barracks, are we not?
Are we?
Yeah.
Ooh, baby.
All right. This has been used since the beginning of time against every different Zerg player. Snute has had success versus it, but he's also been eliminated in tournaments because of this build.
His Overlord's going to see it so early. Oh, dear me.
That's interesting.
Wow, the change-up of the direction on the Overlord, I don't even. Look at that.
He's already got a gas on the way, too.
Oh, God, and he put the second barracks even closer to the Overlord. And he didn't. Yeah. I don't think he revealed that he saw it, right?
No.
Oh, cheeky guy.
So, we're going to have a big surprise coming out for Fantasy. He's going to walk over there and get... He's like, wait a minute, you already have Zerglings?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, this is just Fantasy's lack of knowledge about Snute as a player. Is Snute recently, in the last couple of weeks or so, or maybe last month, has really, enjoyed going gas pool with varied success. He really likes doing this against Reapers because he can get the cancel on the command center. He obviously loves it against command center first, and here it's pretty decent as well. It's not a bad build. It's really fun to play getting Zergling speed so early on. He's even getting a Spine Crawler too.
Jeez.
Making sure that he does not lose to this.
There's he didn't even scout forwards to see if there was a hatchery, and now that bunker is just like, well, derp. Oh, Fantasy. Pokes forwards with the second SCV, and he's like, oh, Jesus. Well, all right, this is a thing.
Yeah, now he knows that something's wrong. He cancels and sends everything home. So Snute can go for, well, he was going to go for a Roach Warren. Oh,
May still.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So, and Borrow too.
Oh, wow.
Hello, TLO.
Oh.
This is going to be very frustrating, naturally. You can have a Zergling that borrows in the position where the command center needs to land. He can come up and harass the front wall here and borrow and unborrow.
Having Overlords near the front, if he's going to go Roaches, actually helps a lot as well, if he positions it right. Just out of range of Marines, obviously, and gets high ground vision, so he can start being very annoying against those Marines.
So, can Snute slam dunk this one home?
How many? He's going to have like 7 or 8 Roaches if he gets good lava inject.
Very good against a handful of Marines.
Yeah.
Gold base has been taken as well.
Oh, wow. All right, then. All right, then. And Fantasy is not going to have any clue for a long time. He has nothing left at the front. I would have even said it would probably been better to leave one of the SCVs at the front to check the natural at some point, but he just anticipated normal play, a normal transition, a normal hatchery, a normal build out of Snute, but it's not going to be the case.
All right.
Oh, and he's getting his add-ons. He can't make any units.
No,
That's ugly.
He doesn't really know exactly what's up here, Fantasy. Does not know the follow-up of Snute.
He's not going to have anything.
And it is 4 Marines. It's just not good enough.
No.
And even if he builds a Marauder, it'll take some time for that to be built.
Yeah.
And like he's not even trying to get that.
Okay, so we got 7 Roaches.
Actually, I don't even know what he's doing in his barracks. Is he trying to go like tank?
He needs units. That's what he needs.
Is he trying to build like tanks from this factory?
I mean, did he even know that these Roaches were being built until now as they walk forward?
But, I mean, 4 Marines is not enough. And now 1 barracks is disabled on the other side.
Marines are on the way again. SCVs are going to have to die for this to be a successful hold somehow, some way. This is repairing, but they are going to fall. And he gets so many free workers.
The Roaches just regenerating while they're borrowed is so crazy effective.
Yeah. Tough stuff.
I guess it's over. He did slam dunk this one home.
10 workers died off. 16 against 27. He's got the gold base behind this. All these Roaches are still alive. He hasn't.
Not pretty.
He hasn't. Look at the units lost. He's lost 0.
He's lost a Zergling.
Oh dear me.
And a Roach.
Okay, a Roach dies.
Oh man, this is devastating.
13 workers killed now. The rest of the Marines have died off. This Widow Mine. Okay, that helps a lot. But now it's used, so it can't be used for another minute or so.
GG Fantasy, lucky for you, this is a best of 5.
Yeah, because
otherwise you've been eliminated.
Well, from this match.
From this match.
But he can get even more workers here. Still got a few roaches available to him. One of them's burrowed, and the second one burrows as well.
Yeah, and Snute sees that this is a Banshee 2 behind this, so he should have the adequate defense building up back at home.
3 queens on the way. 40 drones, Sean. 40 drones against 15 SCVs.
Yeah, this is over. There's no way that he's getting back in this.
Brutal.
Absolutely no way.
this unburrowing. I mean, sure, why not, right? At this point, you try and heal up and then burrow one where the command center would land. Or you spread them out as much as possible. So well, there's a Raven on the way. So, but still, you forced a Raven. Good job. Oh, another SCV.
Shrek.
Yeah. Time to burrow under the command center. Raven's not even out yet. Jeez, this game. He's only 30 workers up, Sean.
Only 30. Phew. It's only a little bit.
Phew.
Now the Raven comes out and Snoot's like, haha, I forced you to build a Raven.
He's got to be smiling at home, that's for sure. Oh well. That roach didn't even get cleaned up that quickly because of the regen. That was funny. Oh well, whatever. All right, so second part of the plan, defend and then win. Extra macro hatch on the way, double evolution chamber.
Snute could build any unit he chooses.
26 Zerglings to clean up the ground. Beautiful.
It is a disgustingly bad sight for Fantasy being so low on SCVs.
Yeah. Very
Snoot's just having a whale of a time here.
Yeah. To make matters worse, it was the gold base, so it's been. Then that was the first expansion, so that's been mined from for quite a while. These Lings don't care about the Banshee; they still want the rocks. They're quite persistent about it, and well, just gonna catch anything that will come along. Oh, this drop. No, there's 3 queens in the main base. 4 queens in the main base.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There are 2 Widow Mines, so they might borrow, but there's a Spore Crawler finishing up, so.
And the Hellions get surrounded on the left-hand side.
Fantasy.
He has been destroyed so far in this game, unfortunately for him. Oh, I might even lose the medevac before it dropped. Oh, only 1 middle mine got out. Right, okay, this is disaster game. How many Lings does he have? 48? Thankfully, there's a wall up here for Fantasy, but if there wasn't, oh, well, that's that's a lot of Banelings and he can see it. Oh. Build the walls! Fantasy, the walls must hold.
All right. You think it holds?
No.
Neither do I.
Oh.
That doesn't help either.
No, it's dead before it even happens. Right, well, that's a lot of Lings. And they're going to plow on through.
G to the G to the G, Fantasy!
Get out. That was tough.
This is some typical Fantasy timing here.
Yeah. Hard life there so far.
Trying his very, very best to stay alive in this game, but Snoot's going to keep on banging that door.
Yeah. To be fair to Fantasy, good effort for keeping going, right? I mean, his Hellions were in good positions there, creating a secondary wall behind his initial one. Did make sure that a lot of Banelings were wasted, but these Hellbats have got to do a whole lot of work at the front here to get him back in this game.
Snute is going to huff, Snute is going to puff, Snute is going to break this door down.
And that was a lot of AoE damage done, but not enough, I don't think, to clean up all of them Zerglings. So they fall down, and Fantasy, just a little bit, will probably fall down as well. It's 76 workers now. Fantasy's playing this game like 5 minutes in the past, where his Viking has just got out and is killing a few Overlords. But on the other side of things, our Zerg has 4 bases.
Yes, he does, and he's now about to finish up with a Spire, and there is not a lot of anti-air. There is 1 Viking and that 1 Raven. That is it.
Yeah, the walls are keeping Fantasy alive.
Yeah, but this is Fantasy being Fantasy.
Double factories getting added on, so Fantasy's going to play this even slower. Even even slower. Just try and get tanks out, I guess, and hold the fort, hold the line. But Snooty boy, has Mutalisks oncoming very, very soon.
Yeah, and that's when the game's going to be very difficult to hold on to. He is adding on some turrets that will help protect himself on 2 bases, but this is a fully saturated 80 drone Snute waiting to finish the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's been over since that Roach attack happened. Look at the supply, 164 to 74. This is a very typical fantasy GG timing, as he's been known for and famous for a very, very, very long time in StarCraft. Snute, is he gonna? Yeah. Yeah, he is.
All right, then. Well, yeah, that's a lot of Banelings. You need more than one Hunch Seeker to really kill all that off, that's for sure. Mutalisk's gonna head into the main base, do a little bit of harassment. Unit count, we're at 10 Hellions and 2 Vikings, and a Raven. Going up against that. Here come the Hunt Seekers, but if they go on Banelings before they even do anything, then, yeah.
Just blow the command center up.
Yeah. Do whatever you want to do.
Do it again, do it again.
More Banelings, woo! Snoot's going to fall back, being 100 supply up and supply blocking his opponent. Still thinks these Hellions, to be fair, against the wall, could probably actually kill a lot of Zerglings.
He has 121 Zerglings.
Yes. Fantasy, he's not done yet. He'll stick in it to the very end. Imagine if he did come back. Just imagine that. Just imagine it in your mind.
Yeah, it would have been the sickest comeback ever.
Yeah. But he may have stepped out a little bit farther. Actually, that many Zerglings on the screen just then being hit by Flame did make this PC drop frame a second. That's how many Zerglings are there?
98 now. He lost a few.
Yes, he did.
He's. Oh, the Hellions are going to get surrounded now. Sorry, Fantasy.
No. Well, he still killed off a lot of Zerglings. GG. Snute takes one of the most anticlimactic games for a while, 2-1.
Yeah.
But then we now have one more map for him, and he does move on to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice World Championships.
That's pretty big. Very, very big. And I think out of all the players in today's qualifier, if there was somebody that was deserving of a position to play at the World Championship, it would be Snute.
What was the map again? Sorry.
Let me.
Deadwing?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be Snute. He's been so deserving of it. He has had incredibly 3 different top 8 finishes in a 4-tournament tour that the Intel Extreme Masters have. He had back-to-back-to-back top 8 finishes in Shenzhen, Toronto, and San Jose, and then unfortunately a top 18 at Taipei, which he came very, very close to making out with the open bracket, where he lost to True or Leenock or someone like this. It was Zerg versus Zerg.
Where are we at? Shenzhen?
No, the last tournament he played at. Czech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was in the winner bracket final, lost 2-1 to Hyun, and then lost 2-1 to Czech in the loser bracket and was eliminated just by being 1 match away from playing in the main tournament. And he was sad at that, but he definitely deserves to play at the World Championship. And if he beats Fantasy, and he is going to.
All right. So on the other side of the bracket, the other semi-final has begun.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just 1 map.
Just 1 map. So we will be jumping into a little bit more of that as we go on.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool stuff.
Apparently, Cure was falling asleep.
Oh.
And he was begging to at least do 1 game, and Hydra likewise was falling asleep.
Okay.
They played other qualifiers today.
Yeah.
So they were begging to start.
Please.
Yes.
Well.
And our admin, Graham, gave in and said, okay, we can start 1 map of that series, not to go on forever and ever and ever. Because they still got another game afterwards as well if they lose.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay. Snute and Fantasy are ready. Deadwing is going to be. So this actually, I think that the spawning positions are very important, because if they get cross-spawning positions, Snute is going to be smiling when he loads in, because this is so nice to be able to play on a big map against a Terran player that it's going to be very hard for him to engage. But even if they don't spawn cross positions, if they spawn vertically, I think Snoot's going to be happy with that too.
Yeah.
Even though that is more Terran favored, his Swarm Hostile fits perfectly into these positions.
Definitely. You can get creep spread going really, really fast on those vertical positions. So unless Fantasy shuts that down, then could be bad news bears. But let's get into it. Game at number 4, even I should say. It is getting late. As we have cross positions indeed. Up to the top right-hand corner, it's our red Zerg. It is Snute. And down to the bottom left, it's our purple Terran this time. It is Fantasy.
So cross positions it is.
Mm-hmm.
Cross positions means this is pretty awesome for Snooty.
Yes, yes, yes.
You're going to have that awesome creep spread through the middle of the map that we know and love he has. And then this is going to be very difficult for Fantasy to engage correctly into, because to access the 4th base of the Zerg, he must go deep onto creep.
Deep onto creep. If you thought Varney Research Station was difficult for Fantasy when he wasn't really hitting the left and the right as much as he could have been doing, then this one is going to be a whole other kettle of fish. This is going to be pretty difficult.
I don't think Swarm Host is good on this map, though, for Snute.
You think he just goes for something?
Yeah, I think he should just play a more regular game. And the reason why Swarm Host won't be as good on this map is the map's too big.
Yeah.
Like, if he is sieging up from his 3rd or 4th, he's going to have a crazy time to get over the other side of the map through harassment to Fantasy's 4th or 5th. But Snute has chosen the same build again. He's gone for the gas first. He's expecting Command Center first here. It's a calculated risk, which has been correctly anticipated, and he's going to be able to get the kill on this Command Center, if not win the game.
Yeah, it could pay off. Could pay off, though, which would be very, very nice start here for Snute going into this. As we'll see if he's going to be able to really solidify himself here in this series. And if he does, wow, wow, wow. Going on to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. That's big. And the thing is that of any non-Korean potentially going, he is one of the only people that you would think would have even stand a chance in a field as strong as the World Championship.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Snute, rounding out the lineup potentially.
Yeah. So Fantasy's going to scout, by the looks of it, north first. So it's going to be the later scout. So he isn't going to really have too much time to adapt into this. So there's a couple of things that work okay for Snute here. Is that he does ideally want to play against Command Center first, because there's nothing really there to stop the Zerglings, only a couple of Marines or so. But they will not be able to go down and protect that Command Center, which will force its lift. So he'll be pushed back off this one base, I would imagine.
But with the bunker, if he just goes straight into that, can they get
the
over there
bunker
in time?
can get surrounded, and then the Marines get lost, and then he loses the Marines. And so
yeah, it's a lot of lings.
The Marines need to be on the other side of the wall, which should be built, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no. Well, kinda.
It's a wall.
It's a wall, kinda.
Yeah.
But the Hellions are the things that push this back. And Fantasy needs Hellions. Otherwise, he has to evacuate the rest of this.
A little bit of a rearrangement of the wall here to complete it off. It's a bit of an annoyance if you want to have the add-on in there, etc. He's actually fallen back from this natural and is deciding to even double reinforce this wall with an extra supply depot at the front, knowing that there is quite a threat here in those lings. So it does cause a few problems there for Fantasy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Just the lift. 10 lings can wrap around that bunker. Kill the bunker, kill the Marine. Because he's only got a limited amount of time until these Hellions are out. That's the problem.
Alright, so I'm going to bring that bunker down. Forces the salvage at least.
Yeah, and actually evacuates from the bunker just to make sure he gets one Zergling kill that was microed back.
Very nicely done. And behind this, Fantasy's going to have to go into Starport. And how much is Snute going to be able to get done? He's already going for his 3rd base. But there is a SCV there that will be able to spot that, which is nice.
So it didn't really get too much of a delay on this, but he's not in a bad position because of his opening. He forced the lift, which is good enough. But we are going to see Cloak Banshee this time, by the looks of it.
The amount of times, like, I I haven't seen much TVZ on this map lately, so I completely forgot about the idea of breaking down these back rocks, but
Yeah.
Snoot's on top of it. He does not forget.
Yeah, these rocks important to break down. Tank drops are popular, but not for this game. It's going to be Banshees.
And it will be the cloak, as you mentioned.
Yup.
So, cool, cool. Let's see how much Fantasy's going to get done with that. Worker count right now is 36 against 29, and there was that little bit of delay at the natural that you did mention, so those Lings did all right.
One thing I've been noticing from Snoot's games today, he really delays his lair quite a bit compared to the most regular Zergs. He leaves it until just gone the 10-minute mark till he starts his lair. Lair in this situation is going to offer him the Overseer's mobile detection against Cloak Banshees.
Obviously, the better choice.
Yes. So he's going to have really good spore positions. One in each mineral line, maybe one in between a base. If he even starts them at all, because there's 2 Marines that are preventing an Overlord from getting inside the main base.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know at all what he's up against.
Does cause some problems. He may have to sack it and try and find out, but by that time it might be a little bit too late, because the first Banshee's on the way. Cloak's going to finish up. Second Banshee's going to follow. Double Engineering Bay has been taken by Fantasy behind this. Third Command Center should come down pretty soon, I feel. Like, he's got room to. It's not like he can be too easily pressured here by Snute when he's defending.
Well, now he sees. Now Spore Crawls must start.
And there they do. In 3 mineral lines. And 1 at the very front as well. So the Queens are going to have to buy some time, but Cloak's does.
Yeah,
Cloak
now he's like, ah, no, really.
Darn. So he's going to lose a few drones to this that are having to transfer between mineral line and mineral line, just running out of the way of that Banshee. Banshees aren't actually even that quick when you really look at them.
Drones, drones, drones. Losing them and also replenishing them heavily. He's got an incredible amount of drones.
He has good readers on this game because right now Fantasy isn't being too aggressive. And that third command center even does fall and go down to the location, as he can't be really pressured himself either.
There's that late layer. I do quite like it though, actually.
It gets a lot of drones before it even starts. It's like 70 or so.
Yeah.
It's crazy economy.
Yeah.
And the 4th base gets added on. Creep Tumors, Creep Spread, not quite as aggressive as I was looking for, really, but...
Yeah, Queen's got pulled away to deal with the Banshees.
Yeah.
Now they've been neglecting their Creep Spread duties.
And now all the Creep Spread's going to get killed off.
Yeah.
At least he cancels 1 and saves it. Volleys of Banshee pressure, though, does cause some problems. Coupled up together.
Need to get out there with the Queens, though. You've got to start Creep Spread, and that's the advantage of being in these positions, that by the time Terran's ready, you've got Creep Spread pushing the middle of the map, and he hasn't got any yet.
They're going to break down the rocks towards that 3rd base as well, so he can keep that fully walled off, raise those supply depots if he wants, not have to have any hazardous run-bys go along. Alright, so plenty of production now here for Fantasy. 6 Banshees across these 3 bases. Go mule crazy. And then we're seeing Snute add on Aspire before the Infestation Pit. So there is that slight change up from that Catalina game, but obviously he has way more room here to really round out the idea of his army and any ideas he has in the future.
Yeah, much smarter to be able to get the Aspire. All upgrades kicking in very nicely for Snute. He's just got to push these Hellions back.
Yeah, they are causing some problems. And the Roaches should be able to deal with that, which allows him to re-spread this creep in the middle after cancelling one of the tumors. Ooh, starting 3 tumors right next to the hatchery, actually, to get it going, no doubt, up towards this right-hand side where you can take extra bases later on.
Pretty standard part of the game at the moment, where there's not too much action. A little bit of harassment here on this 3rd. Snute almost ready to completely annihilate this force, or at least force it to get picked up, otherwise it would get annihilated.
Yeah, Baneling speed is a very real threat. It's cool that Fantasy actually chose to take this little expansion down the ramp as opposed to taking it towards his opponent's base on the high ground. I mean, both are pretty easily defendable here, but, you know, preference. It's a lot of Banelings he's going to have very, very soon.
high bailing count's the way to play this matchup. Absolutely. It used to be high Mutalisk count at the start, but the cost efficiency is so much better with bailings at the start than high Mutalisk later.
Well, regardless of that, Fancy is peaking up at 184.85 supply against Snute, who is struggling but has a lot of banelings.
Yeah, the creep spread denial has been the #1 factor of this game so far.
Very, very strong. And how well is this engagement going to go? The spread here from Fantasy is very, very strong, but this should be pushed away once again, despite that very good spread there by Fantasy.
Yeah, he's going to bring his reinforcements up and go again, but there's no creep spread. I cannot stress how important this has been. From the Banshees bringing the Queens away to the Hellions harassing on the edge of creep to a couple of squads of units being able to clear it up too. It's going to be so important for all the engagements here. It's such an easier game when there's no creep spread for Terran.
It's just the 6 gas play here from Snute, who hasn't taken any of his 4th base just yet. And all of that is really to fuel the Banelings. There's been no extra addition of Mutalisks. They're just dancing around on the edges of these engagements with their Overseer, trying to find some Widow Mines here and there.
Yeah. Snute needs a wonderful engagement somehow. Maybe a couple of unlucky Widow Mine hits for his opponent. Some Banelings come in from multiple angles. But this next fight, now that 2-2 is done for Terran, is hard. It's going to be very difficult for Snute.
Yeah, he would ideally like to buy time for his 2-2, but some Banelings move on forwards and sacrifice themselves for 2 Widow Mines or so, but there's only 16 left. A few more going to morph in. He's going to go up to around 28 very, very soon. If he can get some good hits here.
10 seconds till his 2-2 completes.
Just waiting now. Biding his time. Likewise, Fantasy. I don't think he realizes just how close that 2-2 is to completion, but now it does come along. There's a lot of Lings and Banelings now gathering up. He's almost maxed out. Likewise, as Fantasy, though, rallying everything to the front.
Yeah. And here we go.
The pre-split's very good here for Fantasy. This is going to have to go back through waves and droves of this army. Even a Thor in the mix. How much is he really going to get done? He kills off quite a bit of that, chasing it on back, but there's still a few Marines left over on either edge, but that's a lot of Lings still flooding forwards. Where are the Mutalisks to help all this out?
I think they died
oh dear.
A while back. But this is Fantasy just walking over Snute. Only 8 Banelings being morphed in.
I don't think it's enough.
Snute is hurting. He's lost a lot of drones. He had a drop, I think, that was on his 3rd. That's where the Mutalisks went to deal with, but they couldn't deal with it.
Oh, it was some of the units on the low ground as well that were firing up from there. But here come the Lings again. Banelings are really trying to get through to the juicy core of this army. They killed the Thor off at the front, and the Lings are trying to pursue on even further here with upgrades matching one another's. They will chase this back. Gives him a little bit of room, but that one bit of mine, oh, it killed a lot of Zerglings there.
And again, we're going to have to see a Baneling morph, and there's only 4. It's not a lot. No. It's not a lot. And Fantasy's going to regather and go again. He's got a 4th base up and running out, uncontested. He's got 3-3 on the way, so there's no need to rush this. He's just got to build up, sit on the edge of creep again, take another good fight. Then if they trade off, great. Fantasy's got the better income. He can trade off equally and then go again when he's got 3-3.
Yeah, and you can just head over to that 5th base as well that we're seeing for Snute and shut that down quite easily. Although that being said, the Mutalisks do intercept. A nice little victory there for Snute, but he's down in army supply by quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult fight unless the Banelings get some very good destinations.
Yeah, Fantasy scans. He's like, where is it? Where's what? Where's your army?
Where's your army, mate?
Is that it? You've only got a handful of Banelings? Is that it? It's great news.
And he's going to go every which way direction, over to the left-hand side, over to the right, keeping some of the core army in the middle as well so that he can press the issue down that way and boost on forwards.
Yeah, it looks like he's just kind of going to harass for a little bit and wait till his 3-3's done, then take that fight.
Oh, more worker kills everywhere. 4 Widow Mines in that mineral line. This drop was cleaned up by the 2 Queens here, but another drop over on the right-hand side to try and pressure down this base. Units on the low and high ground at the 3rd.
Yeah.
And
Widow Mines on the ground. 40 seconds, 30 seconds until 3-3 is done.
You can really see why he did garner the nickname the Terrorist. He is, when he gets going, he is all over.
Yeah, Fantasy's a hell of a player.
All right, well, falls with all his banelings. They don't really get too much done. Fantasy's maxed out against a 130 supply.
And now he's got 3-3. He waited patiently until the upgrade was done. And now all he's got left to do is to finish off the game.
This is too much. Pressuring on forwards. He even focuses down the one or two Swarmos that were in that mix. And there's no banelings left over. So Zerglings, Mutalisks are going to get absolutely destroyed in this location. And Fantasy made that look very, very easy.
Yeah, he played awesome that game. He played really, really good. And this has been a neck-and-neck series.
Oh.
Difficult to know which player is really going to, come out ahead.
And now we go to Inferno Pools.
Yeah, and Inferno Pools, the last map to decide who wins and who loses. Who goes to the IntelliStream Masters World Championship, and who has to play in the third match playoff in another series. I guess they do get another chance, but it's going to be against the loser of Hydra versus Cure, which is currently ongoing right now and is looking at being 1-1, so I'm told. So we'll jump into that as soon as we can once Snute and Fantasy's finished. We will definitely see the winner of that series, no doubt.
Yes.
But like I said before, the players were falling asleep, so they had to start.
Yeah, kind of makes sense. They have been battling all day from the very beginning of the day, literally in Europe, as Europe time goes.
It's been about 23 hours, roughly, since the first IntelliStream Masters qualifier begun, which Snute did play in.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m.
It's been a hell of a day for all of these guys.
Yeah.
Who, it's funny how you look at it, because every single one of them, did Fantasy as well?
Fantasy is only played in the European one.
Okay, so aside from Fantasy, everybody else has just been going
played in
game
two,
after
if
game
not three.
after game after game. And now, again, as you say, we go to Inferno Pools. So this is one has high volatility. Let's put it that way. Oh, especially in these spawning locations.
Oh,
so
dear.
let's get into it. Fun times.
This is going to be fun.
All right, spawning over on the left-hand side, it's our blue Zerg. It is Snute. And spawning on the right, in horizontal positions, it's our red Terran. It is Fantasy.
Okay, let's see the builds. These positions very difficult for Zerg.
But Life made it work.
Life did make it work because he cheesed.
Because he's Life as well.
He attacked.
He attacked before his opponent was ready. It wasn't fair.
Yeah. Maro wanted to get his 3 command center build working. But yeah, this is going to be difficult. The third and fourth for Zerg are going to have to be expanding to the left-hand side way. But you have this middle area, which is so close that all the creep's going to be denied. It's just not easy. It is not easy to play against a Terran.
I mean,
when they're rallying through this area.
I can almost fit the distance between natural ramps on one screen fully zoomed out.
Yeah, it's rough. It's very, very, very close.
Yeah.
Fantasy's going to open up with a 3 Reaper build, which is perfect. You can jump into the main base from the back of the base.
Surely Snute almost he's going to go for a hatchery first. I was going to say he almost has to go for kind of the gas pool opener that he has been going for in the past, because there is this potential, but oh well. He's going to go for the hatchery first.
Yeah, you can spawn in any locations on this map. So Snute could be thinking his opponent is cross position, horizontal, vertical, could be any. But he is going to find out that it is the horizontal, the Life versus Maru final map positions from the IntelliStream Masters Type A.
Yeah. Gas is going to be taken here for Snute. Needs to bring that in fast so that he can get himself that gas up and running.
And now Fantasy knows where Snute is. Snute is having a good guess that he's down here. Even though it's not certain, because the SCV could have been sent out earlier.
Yep. To the SCV. He's going to come over here and maybe even throw a bunker down and cause even more problems here for Snute.
Yeah, the spawner pool was late because he got the gas first too, remember.
Drone gets sent down so that he can try and delay this if it does happen. He's always going to chase and chase and chase and chase.
And then Snute will see the Reaper, I think, here. And then he knows that his opponent is down to the bottom right, and this is going to be an interesting game.
Yes, very much so. All the sludge sounds delightful. Didn't realize how it sounded, but there you go. And the drone's going to have to retreat on back, so he knows the Reaper's on the way. So at least some Zerglings will be out pretty soon. No drones down at the natural to be picked off at, but he is going to have to micro these drones for a little bit.
But at least he will have that Zergling speed. And I wonder if he can use it for anything more than just pushing the Reapers back.
Yeah, if he does do something aggressive. The ramp's quite wide at the natural.
Yeah.
So it is more difficult to defend as a Terran. Especially considering other maps like Catalina, it got quite a nice ramp. Some of them don't even have ramps, like Deadwing, for example. These Reapers still posing a little bit of a threat. Queens are zoning out quite nicely. Another Queen is going to be able to pop at this natural and defend these Queen drones, but Lings need to get down here to save their friends. Oh, really good micro here by Snute. Losing a Ling, but keeping a drone alive, but it needs to be made into something. Oh well. That is the one drone that died off during this game so far.
Fantasy is going to play 3 command centers.
That's 12 Lings. Push it back. He knows that speed's on the way though, so he falls back. Fantasy's so good about that timing. He is really good about that.
Speed finishes just before the 6-minute mark, and he is gone.
Gone.
And then a few Zerglings have been made, but Hellions are on the way. So he may force a lift up, and he may get 3 SCVs, 4 SCVs. They're all 4 down here.
Yeah.
There are 3 Reapers, though, to help protect them. All right, they are going to run away.
Reapers themselves, likewise, have to be a little bit careful, but do push that off nicely.
Trying to follow Snoot's progress here, what he's doing. He's getting into gas with 2. He's taking a second gas.
What's he going to throw down? Roach
he might try a Roach Baneling bust.
Yeah.
No, he cancelled his second gas. Never mind.
What is he up to?
But Fantasy is playing pretty greedy, to be honest. Like 3 command centers in these positions. Snute, by the way, has no scouting information whatsoever. He doesn't know if this is Hellbats or what. That's another disadvantage of being in these positions.
Sees that drone and is able to pick it off as it's moving up to the 3rd base. The Lings actually cleared out that location to start things off, but then unfortunately had to come back and be greeted by all this firepower. Oh, the surround. He actually caught a few of those up against the wall there, so it did get himself a Hellion. More Lings are going to flood forwards, and that was actually pretty well done there by Snute.
Yeah. Picks off that Reaper. Some Roaches are being made on a supply block. 52 supply block coming out for Snute, who is going to try and expand, but that is going to be hunted down and starting to really see the difficulties of the positions. I can't believe how greedy Fantasy's playing. 3 command centers, double engineering bay, then barracks.
He's getting away with it as well.
Yeah.
He is getting away with it. Snute's just drones. Extra gas being taken. Scan goes down on the high ground. He sees not really too much of a commitment or anything to aggression, so he is getting away with it.
Fantasy is going to have such a very powerful mid game because of the harassment that Snute's been under. The late 3rd, the drones that have been killed, the units that have been built forcefully in the early game. Well, we have just Fantasy going 1-1 upgrades, no units, late production being added on.
14 Lings in production now to try and help out against this small onslaught that keeps on hitting. And the Roaches, unfortunately, if they had Glider Constitution or something like that, they could have tried to chase that down a bit further, but to no avail at the moment. Oh, and even the defense for Fantasy. Look at this, the 2 Widow Mines at the front of the bunker, and anything that pops across, it's just going to get shut down. These Lings, they have no chance. Pulled back just before he even acted a Widow Mine. All right, the production's really kicking off for Fantasy as well. Catches a few of the Lings. Snute's got to be so careful on this map. Got to be so careful.
Another scan. Just always want to know if he's about to be attacked or not.
Complete. Base is
No surprise.
Yeah.
At least he forced the lift up for a second, repositioned some of those Lings so that they're burrowed underneath, and the Hellion army is way out of spot to actually deny that. So he is slowing his opponent down a little bit, but these Hellions might go on a suicide mission for drones here. Oh, no, Lings are too well positioned defensively.
I think they should balance on the edge. Excuse me, to try and get some creep tumors that are pushing towards that 4th base, making it difficult for Snute to play the next part of this game, which is when that 4th needs to be taken.
That would be nice. Oh, catches some with Roaches. But these Roaches are very slow, so they don't have to worry too much unless they are left alone. Oh, the Lings go for this round again. Okay, so he cleans up a lot.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, we're going into the mid game now. Snute droning up towards that, or towards all his bases. 1-1 upgrade is going to finish for him very shortly. Fantasy kind of messed up his armory timing, so his 2-2 is a little bit delayed.
But at least his third base is now up and running, so his production is going to start flying. Baneling Nest is, Baneling Speed even, I should say, is on the way. And he doesn't really have that many Lings to his name. Whilst there is a small contingent going up towards that fourth base, and it's gone completely unnoticed, so that fourth base might just fall instantly.
And that is not what you really want to be having as a Zerg.
Oh, he's looking to push the third. Huh. Well, he has enough to get the majority of this out of there.
Yeah, he's now sees the fourth.
And he can get that for free and just pick up and run away.
Yeah.
Queens, you went pretty far, but Baneling's there to save, as well as Transfusers.
Good micro here by Fantasy.
Yeah. Off creep, unfortunately here for Snute, pursuing pretty far.
Yeah. No 2-2 upgrades yet from Fantasy. But still, he's keeping the fourth away from Snute. Snute has to play from 3 bases.
Spire on the way, his 2-2 has been started up, and Fantasy is doing a very good job of pushing on the right-hand side now as well. Look how he's doing in terms of army supply. Well, he got 81 against 51, and he's going to get so much creep here as well. So very, very well done there. If he keeps this creep back again,
yeah,
there's just, people really underestimate the value of creep. I just want to put it that way, because it's so important for the Zerg to have room to breathe, room to spread their legs and chase back armies again and again and again, but Fantasy gives him none of those options.
While Snute tries to spread himself to take a fourth base, his natural is completely exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see 1-2 Medivacs pick up units from all the way back on the other side of the map to drop that while keeping the pressure on with these 2 different assaults. Ooh.
That was a lot of Banelings there. Didn't kill off everything. Would have liked to have, but now there's another section and another portion of this army, and the Widow Mine field is going to extend further and further back.
Yeah, this fourth got cancelled again.
Tough stuff, tough stuff. He really needs Fantasy to slip up on one of these angles. He needs him to forget or not control well enough so the Banelings can get a good destination. Maybe on creep, maybe that opens up an area. That Baneling did okay for itself, one moving forwards, and catches some of the Widow Mines on the retreat out.
Nice, still 2 more though.
And Fantasy's keeping on top of this army up to the top right, picks the majority of it up, gets out of there.
Snute is doing well though, you know, he's slowly pushing back this creep towards this fourth. He's defending on these 2 different locations.
But Fantasy's a macro monster.
Yeah.
He just keeps on top of it again and again and again, and every single time you think you've killed off a good portion of his army, the same size, if not bigger, reinforces, and he's going to lose so many Mutalisks.
He lost every Mutalisk he had.
That's painful to watch.
Every single one he had. And now Medivacs are free to roam the sky. They just pick up, drop anywhere they want now. No Mutalisks to worry about.
And the blobs on the left and the right have gotten even bigger. He reinforced the top left blob with 2 Medivacs worth of units. The bottom right blob is now moving to kill off creep between the 3rd and 4th, so this is going to hit hard. He's maxed out.
Yeah, Fantasy maxed out. Nice. Well, there's quite a few Banelings. There's not that... Well, there is quite a few Widow Mines. These are going to be quite important to land.
Oh, he lost a huge chunk of his Marines at the top there to those Banelings.
Yeah, nice catch by Snute. Very nice catch.
And that could even things up a little bit here, but Fantasy's spreading himself out once again, as he usually does. There's a lot of Widow Mines all the way back, reinforcing Marauders as well as Marines coming along to aid this force. Very even army supply-wise. He sees a glimmer of Swarm Host. Drops the scan, can kill that off very easily, but the Banelings and Lings going to flood in from both sides. The Lings try to get onto the backside of this army and push it on away, and he actually does a pretty good job of it. That's a lot of Lings still on pursuit, and there's no Widow Mines here to stop that flood of Lings.
Yeah, evacuation has to be coordinated by Fantasy.
Ooh, gotta get out. Gotta get
Nice
out.
play by Snute here. His macro's been really on top.
Imagine if he'd have had the Mutalisks along with this as well to pursue these medevacs further on, but he's now maybe overextended a little bit. There are Widow Mines here to catch this on the back way out, and he catches a lot of those Lings there.
Yeah. Nice there by Snute, but he's given himself some breathing room for this 4th base. He's up to 75 drones, he's got his Swarmos in play, and he's really survived the more difficult stage of this game, which was establishing that 4th base up. He did it slowly, cost effectively, got that creep out there, took a lot of really good fights despite Fantasy putting the pressure on and clearing the creep. And now he's gotten to this mid game where he can hopefully use Swarm Host to hopefully carry him through to go to Katowice. This is all or nothing now for both.
Well, we're seeing a 4th base up at the top right here for Fantasy being landed. Down the direction where this army is pressuring, so Snute is going to have a bit of a difficult time really doing anything on the other side. I think he may have caught the tip of it transitioning over there with the Overlord, I'm not quite sure, but regardless. He knows that he's probably going to be taking that 4th base pretty soon, but he's almost maxed out. So you're right, he is establishing himself a good spot in this game. It was close for a while.
Yeah, it was close for a while. But it's pretty equal now. Pretty equal. The 3-3 is going to be nice for Fantasy, but the Swarmos count's starting to rise up. It's going to be at 10 very soon. There's a lot of creep spread.
He would really love to have the creep spread going into the middle of the map, but look at these drops again by Fantasy. Because these 5 base locations are so far spread across, getting back and forth between them is nigh on impossible. Oh, but some Banelings don't do too bad there. One Swarm Host dies for its troubles. But again, there's just going to be drops everywhere. Fantasy he's really hit his stride in this series, actually. You can see it from game to game to game, how much he's just hit his stride.
Snute has to protect the 4th. The 5th, not as important, but this 4th must stay alive.
Yeah. Took a little bit of damage to the drones there. He's lost 14 in total during this game. He's at 69, so he's still looking all right in the income. Likewise, though, is Fantasy, who will not slow down in the macro, will keep pressuring and trading off so that he can get those armies extra out there and continue pushing on. He's got a lot of medevacs, actually.
Yes.
15. He's actually making more, so that's a lot of medevacs. Maybe even too much.
3 command centers in the production tab, too. There's a lot of... a very good economy for Fantasy. 4 bases untouched now. An extra 3 command centers being built so you can have some extra orbitals. And now Snute does keep that 4th alive, but he just doesn't have the same bank. He's not too far behind in supply to Fantasy, but he doesn't have the same bank. And if you think back to Varney Research Station, this is when you want to really start to increase your Mutalisk count, to start these drops, to start harassing.
And I've got to ask you, Sean, we haven't really seen a huge amount of games on this map, but do you feel that Swarm Hosts are particularly good here? Because right now I'm not seeing them do a massive amount.
Yeah, it's just because he hasn't been able to build up the count of him yet and get his creep spread going.
Well, this army is extremely menacing in the middle here for Fantasy as it cleans up more creep. He drops scans, he sees that the Swarm Hosts are pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, really nice play by Fantasy. Drops at the north and the south while pushing through the middle. It's very difficult for Snute to keep on top of things.
He's trying to keep on top of the rest of this army, though, with Banelings, as they do crush quite a bit of it, but it's not enough. Fantasy now replenishes, and as you said, he dealt with this base up to the top. He's taken his own 5th base up to the top, and once an extra wave here of Fantasy comes along, Snute has no money. He has no money to keep replenishing like this.
It's because he keeps getting harassed in these mineral lines. His 2nd base only has 5 workers on the mineral line. His 4th base consistently being dropped. Fantasy's playing out this part of the game wonderfully, absolutely wonderfully.
He's playing out of his mind, he really is. There's 2 medevacs going to head down to the south here. Maybe pressure this natural again, but there are a few spawn calls as well. The Mutalisk well positioned.
When Snute lost those 10 or so Mutalisks for nothing before, really, really hurt him. Now these medevacs are taken to the skies.
Yeah, how many medevacs are we on? 18. 18. He gets himself 1 medevac down to the south. Yeah,
there's going to be another drop on this 4th of his.
It's getting too much now. It's getting way too much, especially since Fantasy is maxed out and he can just, once again, have a core pressure the middle and maybe even deal crippling damage.
Yeah, look at this. There's so many units. There's very little Banelings close for the time being. And as you said, there's so much resources for Fantasy. You can keep on rebuilding. And Snute is dying slowly. He needs money. He needs that 5th up. It was okay to, or it wasn't okay, but he could have survived on 4 bases, but he's been surviving on 4 for way too long now. But he just doesn't have enough to push Fantasy off him.
Catches tumor after tumor here as he's clearing up everything between his bases and Snute's. And jeez, there's like personal medevacs up at the top for every single unit up there. It's ridiculous. So he's going to load up 2 more medevacs. Goes to another location. Snute here trying to roll on balls with banelings, but it's pretty much a waste. He has a good Mutalisk count gathering, but not really enough to rival the income that we're seeing from Fantasy and the replenishment potential.
And another drop again. He just can't stop them.
It's never going to end. Never going to end. Fantasy is running circles around Snute here. Once you give Fantasy an inch, he'll take a mile, basically. And that's ultimately what's happened here in this game.
Yeah, catching Swarmos that are trying to reposition or being spawned out the hatcheries every time. And Snute's dropped down to 130 supply. He's going to lose one of his hatcheries. And the landslide begins for Fantasies. He gets ready to be our first player to qualify. He's very close to doing so. It would take a miracle for Snute to turn this around now.
Yeah, through a brilliant series as well, and an especially strong last game here from Fantasy. Of course, Deadwing was very, very powerful from him as well, establishing himself so strongly in the middle and always denying the creep spread over and over. Snute is going to try and rely on these Mutalisks to get him some damage done.
Yeah, he finally got that Mutalisk count high enough, but just a little bit too late here. After losing too many drones, after losing that natural, if he'd had this count a good couple of minutes ago to prevent these drops.
Fantasy never really takes a straight-up engagement with his whole army. Just pressure left, pressure right, pressure left, pressure right. And unfortunately, there's really not much left here for Snute for a lot of non-Koreans. But again, don't worry. He still has another opportunity down in the 3rd place match. Right now, Fantasy is playing out of his mind.
That's a drone conga that just got destroyed.
50 workers have gone down through all this harassment. The Locusts are holding strong against the pod down to the bottom right, but it's only a matter of time before Fantasy clumps up everything and goes for the last hurrah.
Yeah, Fantasy's expanding again, and his income never really drops below 2,000 minerals a minute. It's always super, super high. And it has been this for the last 10, 15 minutes, just consistently high income. Snute is now moving over the other side of the map with his Mutalisk to look for some type of harassment, but if he commits to that, then he has nothing to defend. He has these Swarm hosts, that is it.
Yeah, and that amount of Locusts against even 3-3 upgrades here from the Terra and Bio, with that many medevacs as well, you're not really getting the most amazing trades as they just get on top of it. They killed off all the Locusts, and that gives them a chance to get on top of it, and they get some Swarm hosts here.
Yeah, 3 Swarm hosts go down, 5th base taken out as well.
And Fantasy is, it's almost the reverse of GG timing. He has a lot of tools to him available to him here to execute and kill off, but he is going to harass him to death.
I don't think Snute knows the full extent of his opponent's economy, and when he starts to realize, he's going to be feeling it.
Yeah. Did he spot that base up to the top? No, he hasn't even spotted those ones there either. So, tough stuff. Gonna lose these medevacs. That's actually a nice pickup there for Snute. He's gonna try and battle his way back in. Definitely doesn't want to go to another series. Just wants to advance from this one. He's so close, you know, it's 2-2. Why not keep yourself in it and try and go for it? But more workers are gonna fall. The Mutalists will clean this up. No Marines to speak of to help out.
Yeah, Mutalists do have good upgrades at 2-0. But Fantasy just has so much money.
Yeah.
He scans the Swarmos. No, he's going to grab them.
No.
4 for nothing.
Yeah. These Thors could get a few good volleys off on these Mutalists. There's 22 of them in the sky. Actually, not that many Marines here at all. There's only 13 Marines on the entire field, actually. But still, he's up against it. There you go. GG. Congratulations to Fantasy for advancing on, and congratulations to him for moving on to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
He's the first player to qualify from our European qualifier, as we have 3 slots available, and 1 is taken by former SKT. Fantasy now currently playing for Dead Pixels, played in the European server, and he got what he wanted by playing here.
All right, so that does it for our series. How are things going in the other series? You've been kept up to date.
Yeah, it's currently 1-1, and they're in map 3 now.
Okay.
And we'll be jumping into that as soon as they're out of that map 3.
Okay, and then after that, we can jump straight into the third place match.
Correct.
So, all right, we're going to go to a short break whilst game number 3 of that series wraps up, and then when we're back, we'll have game number 4 between Cure and somebody.
Hydra.
Hydra. Back in a bit.